would like to do right now is to have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence, particularly for Reverend Dr. Donna King, who was the minister at the AME Church. She died just about a week and a half ago from cancer.
And the 400,000.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for
which it stands, one nation,
Under
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ms. Cleaton,
here.
Ms. Thompson,
Here.
Mr. Eaton,
Here.
Ms. Humboski,
Present.
Mr. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Prendergast,
Here.
Ms. Tosti Vasey,
I'm here.
Ms. Walker,
Here.
Mr. Brackbill, Randy,
Muted.
I see you. Mayor
You're
Wilson.
muted.
I'm still here.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
Okay. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Jackville.
Eaton and Brackbill. Any changes? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Consent agenda, we don't have anything unless there's something that came up that I don't know about.
No.
Okay. Then moving on to written communications.
The first one I'm just going to touch on, I think it's going to maybe be discussed later. That's this personal delivery devices. That is new. It's something that's being approved for Pennsylvania at the state level. We're just now getting information about the regulations or how much authority local governments have to regulate these new delivery devices, or look like little refrigerators or ice coolers going down the street, so to speak. But anyway, I think maybe between Deb, Chair of Streets and so on, there may be some more information. I know there's a webinar coming up tomorrow, and there'll be some additional information put forth regarding these new devices that may eventually make their way to Bellefonte. Then the next letter.
Well, no, let's finish with this first.
Okay.
Deb, do you want, Deb and I have had some communications back and forth today. Deb, do you want to take it over right this point?
Yes, there is a webinar tomorrow at 2:00. I know tomorrow's a busy day for everybody, but if I would highly encourage the Streets Committee, if you are available at 2:00, there is a webinar sponsored by PennDOT that will explain more in depth what these devices are, what the uses are, and what municipalities can do to regulate them. We cannot prohibit their use, but we can regulate the way they're used within the community. There are parameters for how they're used on streets and speed limits, and their use on sidewalks. These devices can be the size of a small picket cooler, but the largest dimensions are going to be like a small refrigerator. You know, the maximum height, I think, is 72 inches. So these can potentially cause conflict on the roadways with motorists. They can potentially cause conflict on sidewalks with pedestrians. So we need to get a whole lot more information about this. Yeah, Randy?
Did you have a link that you could send us on that?
Yes, that was in the email that Ralph sent out on the 15th, I believe, but I will forward that to you.
And I can resend it also.
Okay, I just think it's tomorrow's webinar will give us a whole lot more information, particularly about the organizations or entities that would be using these devices. There's just too much unknown information at this time.
I would just add, Deb, not to interrupt anyone, but the webinar, they said they're going to try to record it. Of course, you wouldn't be able to answer or ask any questions, but you could at least hear the information. If you're tied up tomorrow, I know tomorrow is a big day for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And if you are able to attend tomorrow, it's like this meeting, you can put questions into the chat box and they will hopefully be able to get to them.
So the complication about all of this is that the deadline for comments on the regulations is this Friday, January 22nd.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm
Yeah,
not.
we just got this last week.
We got this.
Yeah, I know. And it's extensive. I've been reading through it, and, you know, it's not, like you said, it's not something we can discuss right now because there's too many unknowns, but how are we supposed to comment and get back to them by the end of the week?
Maybe that's
a comment.
So basically, what Deb and I agreed to, and if this is okay with council, I'll need a motion on this, is that we would ask all of you to review this, send comments to Deb by 11 o'clock on Thursday, because we were supposed to, the Streets Committee meets at noon on Thursday.
Now, I'm sorry, may I have a question?
Yes.
You said by 11 Thursday. Is that 11 in the morning or 11 in the evening?
AM.
Okay.
Because we meet at noon. And then hopefully on Thursday, we can compile recommendations and suggestions for PennDOT that we can get to them by their deadline on Friday.
So what the motion we would need is for you to give the committee the authority to forward all comments crafted to PennDOT by the Friday deadline.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thompson and Clayton. Discussion?
I'll go first. I
Okay.
think there's going to be a lot of challenges with this. This is supposed to start taking place in 24, I believe.
No.
No.
January 30th.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about the units being on the ground.
January 30th.
January 30th, this goes into effect.
Yeah.
Well, then never mind my comments.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
That's ridiculous.
They're referred to as authorized entities in this document. Anybody wanting to use these devices has to contact the municipality 30 days prior to implementation. I'm just curious if Bellefonte Borough has been contacted in any way by somebody on a fishing expedition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, that gives us 30 days. I mean, we got 4 days or 3 days to make comments, and we have 30 days to respond to somebody requesting to be able to use these in 30 days. And that we have no idea what we're dealing with. And I don't even know how, just because PennDOT and this group had a meeting, who's the experts and what's the liability? And there's a lot of questions.
Right.
Sean just joined us. We're talking about the PDDs. Sean, the personal delivery devices. Right.
You're
You're
muted.
muted.
You're still.
Can you repeat that, Mayor?
I said, since you just joined us, we're talking about the personal delivery devices, the little droids that are going to carry packages around.
Okay. All right.
The good news is that alcohol, tobacco, and firearms are prohibited cargo.
Well, what good are they then?
What good are they?
Here again, I think, I understand the deadline, but like I said in a committee meeting, I don't think it's worth spending a lot of time on at this moment.
No, not at this moment.
Not right now. I think Thursday's meeting.
I think you're pushing the envelope for something that's probably not as important as other issues we have going on in the borough. But that's my opinion.
So, I mean, I looked it over and I came up with 7 questions. They're not saying that these are right or wrong, but it would help to clarify what it is that the borough would need. And those are the kind of comments that I was thinking that if you haven't, if you've read it, to say, okay, if this is going to happen, how will this affect the borough? How will it affect the safety of our community members?
Are those the sort of things that we are to submit to Deb by Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, then let's do that.
Yeah, if you go through the document, just give me any comments or
Okay.
suggestions.
And then the streets committee can work with it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Bye.
All opposed?
No,
I'm going to go with the no.
Okay,
Okay.
that's Brackbill saying no.
2, there's Mr. Johnson, Mr. Brackville.
Okay,
Got it.
no. Okay,
All
got
right.
it.
Ready?
Yes, now you can go on.
Next item is a letter from our real estate tax collector, Deborah Berger. She's asking for consideration and changing her fees, the way she receives compensation. It's pretty self-explanatory in her letter. It's there for your review.
I'd like to refer this to the Finance Committee for review and recommendation to be made at the February 1st council meeting, which will meet the February 15th deadline described in the letter.
Will the finance committee then make a decision about it
We will review it, make a recommendation, bring it back to
and bring it,
council.
and we'll have time to do all of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So another doodle is required.
I'll make note.
Well, no, we don't need a doodle because we established regular meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we can get with you. I know there was a 4:30 standing meeting, and then there was like a 10:30 meeting once a month. We're looking at once a month.
Right.
But we can get with you, Gina, and check
Okay.
the schedule.
Okay.
so you'll be sending out an official time. It's either, I'm confused if it's 10:30 or 4:32.
Right. Okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
Any other written communications?
Not that I have.
Seeing none, moving on. Is there anybody who wants to make an oral presentation? Seeing none. Mayor Wilson, you're on.
All right, thank you very much. We received the police report along with the animal control report, parking report. I don't know if everybody had a chance to go over that. I particularly like some of the department notes that give you sort of a breakdown of some of the incidents that have happened. If you have any questions, Sean is on board here. If not, I'll move on to something else.
Like to report.
Okay, thank you.
You're good, Sean.
The only other small item is, I don't know if you recall last week, Mike and I had a little conversation regarding response to a complaint on fireworks. Was that New Year's Eve, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did check with Sean on who was on board and what was going on at that time around 11:30. And I think one of those, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but I think one of those incidents is written up in the department notes with the traffic stops that resulted in warrants out on the people that were stopped. Is that correct? Okay. So anyhow, I did call Councilman Pendergrass back yesterday, actually, and explained to him what was going on. And I've talked with Sean about upcoming incidences with fireworks and how we're going to be using the state regulations to enforce that. What I'd also like to do is prior to, well, as soon as possible, maybe, or prior to at least the 4th of July, get some letters out to a couple of the addresses that I know, and I think the police know, just to advise them of the crackdown on fireworks in the borough.
To add to that, Mayor, I think maybe we could put it out in the newsletter, in the bulletin newsletter,
Yes.
about the fireworks and on our
Yeah,
website.
I think the more we can educate the borough residents, I think the better off we'll be. But I think there's at least 5 or 6 addresses that we know right now that were warned last year, and I think it wouldn't hurt to send them a personal letter just to say, hey, heads up, you've been warned.
Good idea.
Anybody else have anything?
All covered, Tom.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yes, Doug.
Chief, excellent report. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
And thanks for handling all that COVID stuff that's going on continuously. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Any other comments for the mayor or the chief? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to my report. The first thing is the ACCO seminar that I attended. That was on January 7th. ACCO is the Association of Climate Change Officers. This is the organization that DEP has contracted with to help craft some educational outreach programs for things like our climate action plan. The takeout that I had from that was that they're going to be forming a questionnaire for municipalities. And once that questionnaire is completed, they're going to be reaching out to communities to consider participation in working with them to collaborate and assist both us and the state in crafting these climate action plans and programs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So, any questions on that one? Okay. The second thing that I have is a statement that I would like to read based on what has happened on January 6th in Washington, D.C. and the vandalism that happened here in Bellefonte a couple days after that. As president of Bellefonte Council, I'm speaking to our residents, neighbors, and visitors on behalf of Bellefonte Borough Council members and the Bellefonte Borough Management. On January 6th, as a nation, we all witnessed with disbelief when what should have been a peaceful protest turned into an unlawful riot, resulting in destruction, unlawful entry, injury, and death. Our hearts go out to the families who lost loved ones and the families who had loved ones injured. Our prayers go out to every citizen of the United States to reunite. If there must be protest, they must be peaceful. Unlawful actions that we saw last week should not be occurring in the United States of America and have no place in Bellefonte Borough. Remember that both spoken and written words affect the actions of others, as they can either inspire or incite. Vandalism occurred in Bellefonte in the wake of the Capitol riot. It was very heart-lifting to see our community members come together to repaint a vandalized pride flag mural in downtown Bellefonte. We thank you for your display of respect and sense of community. We now hear of possible protests being planned throughout the country during the inauguration of Joe Biden as our 46th president. While we support a citizen's right to protest peacefully, we do not support events that cause injury to others or the destruction of property. Our responsibility as elected officials is to support federal, state, and local laws enacted to protect our residents, businesses, and properties. This Borough Council has given the Bellefonte Police Department the direction that should a peaceful protest occur here in town, turn into unlawful acts, the police will deal with it according to the law. The Bellefonte Police Department will use every resource available to ensure our community's safety during any lawful peaceful protests. For the safety of protest participants and property protection, all local, state, and federal laws will be enforced, and those involved will be dealt with accordingly. Our police department has the authority to call in whatever support is needed to maintain peace. Any resident who hears of or sees any suspicious or inappropriate activity is always encouraged to contact the Bellefonte Police Department at the non-emergency number, which is 814-355-2320, or in an emergency, call 911. Doing this could keep you, your family, and your friends safe from harm. Please stay safe and help keep Bellefonte peaceful and protected. Thank you. What I'd like to do right now is first ask our Vice President to speak and then follow that up with our President Pro Tem. Randy?
Thank you, Joanne. And thanks for those comments. I want to support the comments provided by Council President Tosti Vasey. This past year, 2020, we witnessed protests due to police shootings that turned unlawful, causing property damage, permanent closure of small businesses, injuries, and death that would continue for weeks throughout the country. And in January 2021, we witnessed a protest due to an election, which also turned unlawful, causing injury, death, and damage. I believe in the Constitution of the United States of America, and I believe as a community leader, as well as an American citizen, that the Constitution was founded to provide our rights. The oath that we took when sworn to Borough Council office, as well as other state and national offices, is the same oath that will be given to incoming President Joe Biden tomorrow afternoon. Within that oath, we swore to protect the Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution allows peaceful protest, and I respect and support that right. If we do not defend our constitutional rights as elected officials, we are not supporting the rights of all fellow citizens of where and how we live and work. That's my comments.
Thank you, Randy. Doug is our President Pro Tem.
Yes, thank you, President Tosta Vasey and Vice President Brackbill. Your words were well spoken, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. I know the three of us took time to compose these statements, and we feel very strongly in what we've said. So I appreciate your efforts in composing that statement, and I support them 100%.
Thank you. Anybody else like to make comments at this point?
I certainly support the statements as well.
100%. What
Well
happened?
said.
Go ahead.
Anybody
Go ahead.
else?
Thank
Go
you
ahead.
thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Others? Seeing none, we'll move on then. Moving on to committee reports. First one is building and property. Ann?
Hey, this is J.J. Powell, former Subway sandwich shop, South Water Street property purchase resolution. I'm deferring to Ralph, I suppose.
Yes, this is an after the fact piece of paperwork that we need to do for the bank that helped us with the loan to purchase that property. It's a simple resolution, just giving myself permission through council to sign the paperwork, even though it's after the fact. The bank knew it was after the fact and said they would still appreciate the resolution being approved. It simply allows me to sign the paperwork for the loan.
So we need a motion to accept resolution number 0119-2021-01, allowing Mr. Stewart to execute the loan papers at the First National Bank in the amount of $120,000.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Walker and Prendergast. Discussion? Go ahead, Doug.
A great purchase. I think it will do well for our borough. If folks out in the public, I think they're aware of it. It's the J.J. Powell building that was the Subway building. Bellefonte Borough now owns that, and we're hoping to incorporate that into our park system.
Other comments? Questions? Go ahead, John.
I would reiterate that we're not using tax funds for this purchase. This purchase is being making the purchase using the proceeds from the water sales to what was the Coca-Cola bottling plant. So tax dollars not being used for this purpose.
I would just add that that revenue is not part of the normal water system. It's always been set aside since 1998 when the agreement was created. The water goes through a pipeline that was put in by a company that the original agreement was made with. So it's completely separate from the water system and water system operations.
Other comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved.
The next item, on-street red meter long-term parking area changes, and I believe Don has material relating to this.
I do, Ann. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Bring this up. So probably many of you on council are hearing, hey, what the heck happened to the 114 red long-term parking meters in and around our downtown? Because we're certainly getting a lot of calls regarding this. So I'm gonna put together maybe a 3-minute presentation here. It's designed to assist all of us here at the borough in communicating with our residents and others why, when, where, and how the transition from the red long-term parking meters to parking meters by permit to parking by permit will be implemented. So through our Public Works Department, we've removed the red parking meters a few weeks ago, and we are transitioning to permit parking in the areas where the red meters used to be. Why are we doing this? Purchasing parts to fix the meters was no longer an option at the borough. You could no longer purchase parts due to the meters being outdated. The same thing with the meters we had in town. Each new meter cost approximately $300, and since we were only charging 50 cents for 8 hours at $12.50 per month in revenue, assuming the meter was used every day for the full 8 hours, it would take a little over 2 years to recoup enough of the funds to cover the cost of a new parking meter. When does this take place? It's going to go into effect March 1st, 2021. That is the effective date when parking permits will be required. How does one purchase a permit? You have two options. You can purchase a permit at the borough office, or a more convenient way is to purchase one online at www.bellefonte.net. If you go to www.bellefonte.net and you see on our website right here, purchase parking permits, that's where you'll click. If you are using a cell phone, this will be at the very bottom of the page, but if you just go in on a regular computer, that's where you're going to see it. Once you click on that, you are going to see this page right here, and you will click View Permits. Once you do that, you'll have the option of purchasing one of 3 on-street long-term parking permits. This is also where you'll also be able to purchase permits for the municipal lots west, south, and north. But I'm just showing you the bottom of the screen here, which would be, you can purchase a commuter permit, which is going to be a C permit. That's $25. You have the option of purchasing an RC permit. This permit is for borough residents that commute to park somewhere in town or right outside and typically work in town. If you purchase one of these permits, it'll be $20. If you purchase an on-street long-term parking permit because you're a resident and these parking places are right out in front of your house, for example, over on Allegheny Street near the elementary school, you would purchase an R permit at $15 a piece. Once you pick or choose which permit that fits your situation, you'll click on register, and then you'll get a sign in to continue. You can sign in one of two ways. You can create an account, or you can continue as a guest. If you're going to be reoccurring, I would strongly urge you to create an account. But if you're just looking for 1 month, continue as a guest is fine. Just follow the instructions. You'll have to fill in your type of car, your license plate number, your address, contact information, phone number, email, etc. And then you'll use a credit card to pay for the permit. If you do create an account and you want it to be a reoccurring, it'll do that automatically for you, so that you don't have to sign in and purchase a permit every month. This week, we hope to have these signs that'll look something similar to this. Signage such as seen here will be installed in areas where permits are required. Notice that even without a permit, there'll be 1 hour parking permitted. So if you're someone that's just looking to use the post office or Center County Library or something like that, you'll be able to park in the red meter areas. The impacted areas include North Allegheny Street. There's 23 parking spaces. There's 17 spaces on South Allegheny, 12 on West Howard Street, 14 on North Spring Street, 7 spaces on South Spring, 30 spaces on East High, that's the up and down side of the courthouse, and then 11 spaces over on North Potter Street, kind of next to where Bonfado's is located. What changes does one need to know? You will no longer require a placard for your windshield. Permits are based on your vehicle license plate number. Enforcement is Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday 9 a.m. to noon, just as it is throughout town. For residents, only 1 permit per household is allowed to be purchased. If you register, you may enter more than 1 license plate, but you would only be able to have 1 vehicle parked in there during the enforcement time. Moreover, by registering, you can select a box that, as I mentioned, will automatically purchase your permit monthly. You will require access to the internet and a credit card to purchase permits online. The long-term parking permits are not for use in any of the municipal lots, north, west, or south. So this is only for where the old red meters used to be. And currently, between now and March 1st, you can park in those red meter areas only for free, but by March 1st, you have to have a permit. We do plan to be very flexible. We have 2 very capable enforcement officers. I think Sean, the chief of police, will attest to that. They're doing a fantastic job working with us on this transition. So we'll be flexible and work with residents on the rollout. Any questions, please call the borough at 814-355-1501 if you experience any problems or have any questions. Just a note, purchasing your parking permits online is designed for convenience. It will save you a lot of time from coming here at the borough and getting your permit here. But please be aware that there is a processing fee included for using your credit card of $250 per transaction. We did try to go back to the designer of the web or the program to see if people could purchase more than 1 month at a time, and the answer is no. It's got to be it's got to be monthly and recurring if you're going to do it that way. That is all I have on parking permits, but I did want to share that because we're getting a lot of questions, and I assume maybe you are as well.
Tom.
Dawn, just for clarity, in case we're asked, I think you did touch on it, but people who do not have a computer or are not computer savvy, they can still come in and get a parking pass in person. Is that correct?
That's correct, Tom. They'll come in, and the way it will work is that Melissa's going to have to go in and enter the information for them. But I would like to tell folks that, anyone that, that doesn't have access to internet, you can use the Center County Library. There's other places that, you can get access to it. But if you can't, you can always come here and we'll be more than happy to do it for you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
I would just add a couple of things. It's probably advisable during the COVID period to call the office first to make sure we have someone here that can meet you at the door, work with you to purchase a permit if you want to do it in person. Because of the COVID issue, we do not have the front door open at the moment. And then secondly, a number of the streets that Dawn mentioned are in the alternate street parking zone. That is still in effect all year round. Nothing has changed with alternate street parking regulations at this point in time. So if you are in, let's say, East High Street next to the courthouse, and that's an area that has alternate street parking regulations, even though you have a permit, you still must abide by the alternate street parking regulations and move your vehicle. The purpose for that is for snow removal during the winter and running the street sweeper during the summer.
Yes,
Well,
John.
Well, the way Don laid out the plan, would there be any reason anyone would have to come into the office to get the permit?
They don't have to, but somebody may not have a computer and not want to do it that way. Maybe they want to write a check.
Yeah, we've had a couple people already, John, that either do not have access to the internet or they don't carry credit cards. So
Okay.
there are those outliers there.
Okay. Citizens.
Outliers.
Outliers.
Yeah, I was just going to say, somebody's going to take offense to being called an outlier.
I'm no liar.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, anything else on building and property?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, then we'll move on to.
I have a question.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So I'm gonna hopefully make the first formal complaint about the lighting that's been put up at the proposed new car dealership on Water Street. If you've driven past there at night, I think they're set a little high. They're above each garage door, and they're either too high or they're too bright a lumen. And it just comes right out. I mean, it catches your eye even worse than the light that was at the subway shop. But it catches you both ways, just the way it shines out.
That can probably be done by just adjusting the angle.
I would think, but I don't know because I didn't see it. I know they're attached to the front of the building, and I don't know what capabilities they have in adjustment. So
They may have to add a shield or something, but yes, we have regulations about that.
yeah, or a different size light would help too, probably. That's it.
All right.
I'm writing down, just hold on a second.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, then Gina, it's your turn for finance and government performance.
I have no agenda items, but just to give a brief recap, we had a finance committee on January 12th. And what we did in that committee is just laid out some goals for 2021. We came up with a couple here that we'll be continuing we would like to have monthly meetings to continue our budget discussions. And also then once we get closer to budget time, we'll probably pick up with those. And although I guess prior to this, I thought our meetings would be the second Tuesday of the month at 10, but we'll confirm that and clarify that for the committee. So that's all I have for the report there. Anything else from the finance committee?
Yeah.
that I-
And if we need any meetings in between, we'll get
Sure.
those scheduled as well.
Sure.
Any other questions or things for finance? Seeing none. Melissa, Parks and Rec.
We met earlier this month to discuss the volunteer snow brigade. If you own a snow blower or an ATV with a mini plow and would like to help the efforts of the Bellefonte Borough keep Talleyrand Park or the annex or the waterfront clear of snow, you are invited, especially if you are bored on snow days and you want something to do. Please join us in the park for a little snow blowing. If you are interested in joining, you can call the borough, Ralph or Don, at 355-1501. That's all I have.
That might be an item that Mr. Morelli would promote for us in his newspaper.
Much welcome.
Got that, Chris?
Randy.
Question, yeah, you know, with snow removal, I usually take care of like 3 driveways after the snow. So I'm wondering if it would be good to put a date, like or a specific day, like 2 days later, 1 day later, once people have got themselves cleared out, you know, to get there. If we keep continuing having snows like we had here early in December.
That's a great suggestion, Randy. Thank you.
Mhm.
Ralph, could you kind of figure that out based on what you know about the services? Because I know our ordinance says that residents and businesses have to have their sidewalks cleared within 24 hours. Maybe it should be like right after that or something similar.
Sure, we'll work on that. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, John.
I have one parts question. I've noticed the lights that are strung through the park. I think they were strung for Christmas time.
Yeah.
They're still up and on.
Yeah. They're permanent.
Yeah, they look
Good
great on
observation,
TV.
John.
But they're on during the day.
They should
Not
be on
always.
a timer.
They're on a timer.
Okay.
They just need to readjust the time because of the lighting. The light in the evening's a little later.
Yeah, but this is like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
All right.
We'll check on it, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 quick updates on the projects. Got a call from our engineer today trying to follow up on when Like Cummings Supply can finish the bridge walkway. There's the railing and 2 fences, 2 parts on each end of the bridge that needs to be fabricated yet. My understanding is that he'll have that completed within 2 weeks. Bud Williams said he'll make it a priority to pick it up as soon as it's completed. So if the weather stays like it's been, he'll make it a priority to get it completed. So at the earliest, we might have it done in 3 weeks, finalized and get that completed. And we hired a contractor to finish the restroom out at Governor's Park. So the roof is on, other things are happening. Hopefully that's going to be finished, I would think, by March, early March.
It's great news. Thank you, Don. People have been sending me pictures of the bridge. Everyone that I've talked to that's been on it has been really, really happy.
A lot of
See
compliments. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a
The
small
railing,
feature.
my dog's not even afraid of it.
Yeah.
What I particularly like about it is the flooring it feels like even if it was a little icy out, you're not going to slip on it. I think that's really, really good. And we purchased that one for the public because that was supposed to last almost twice as long as the alternative that we had. So that although it was a little higher in cost initially, in the long term, it's going to save us money.
Definitely going to be worth it for the amount of people who have photos taken on there and just for easy use. So I'm very pleased.
Deb?
Oh, I was just wondering, when the time comes to redo the suspension bridge, would that same material be appropriate if it's a non-skid material?
Yeah, it can be, Deborah.
Something to consider.
Yeah, would last longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing further for my report.
Anything else for Parks and Rec? Seeing none, move on to Human Resources. John?
Okay, on the 6th of January, we had our Human Resources meeting. At that time, we authorized Ralph to post the notices for the nuisance code opening and also the part-time planning, zoning, and HARB position. And those postings will be open until January 31st. We've had some within the water department. We had a opening, and that job was filled internally from a person in the streets department. So now we have an opening in the streets department, which that opening will be posted internally. And then if it's not filled internally at a later date, it'll go external. Correct, Ralph?
Yes.
Okay. And we have not started the process for filling it. There will be a vacancy for the assistant wastewater treatment plant superintendent. That posting will be coming in the near future. But I believe after tonight or after this evening's meeting, we'll have an executive session discussing plans for the upcoming contract negotiations. So that's the end of my report.
Any questions, anyone? Seeing none, moving right along. Randy, safety.
And the agenda, it talks about Center County Hazards Mitigation Plan meeting updates. Both Joanne and I attended those meetings over the past couple of weeks. And I think what we found was more frustration, or at least I did, when I had a conversation with the county that all the work that was done in 2015, basically nothing was done after that. And everything kind of remained a goal. And I know Ralph kind of felt blindsided in some of the forms that were being sent and trying to get those forms answered and get them in. I forget what the date is that they're due, but in my view, what I want to do is I have a Nittany Valley Joint Planning Committee meeting this week. And what I'm suggesting is that the hazardous mitigation plan become a new chapter for the Nittany Valley Planning Committee in their comprehensive plan. I believe that this committee should be managing the mitigation plan along with the comprehensive plan in order to reduce the duplication efforts, gathering approved hazardous mitigation information from the municipalities. It falls within the 5 keys for implementing plan within Nittany Valley. The information will be included in the Center County Comp Plan under the Nittany Valley Comp Plan and available on the county website. The mitigation issues will remain the responsibility of each municipality within Nittany Valley for determination and approval of hazards, for providing information and steps taken by each municipality as to update in Nittany Valley on an annual basis. And then we would update the plan at that point just to add those items. So it's kind of a moving program. And we kind of do that to all of them at one time or another, because the comp plan needs to be revised every 10 years. This plan needs to be revised every 5 years. And it's 2020 and it's time to revise this plan. And I'm just looking at trying to make it easier and have more eyes on it. And I think the Nittany Valley Joint Planning Committee is the best place to do that with. And I would be willing to take that and place that under safety as well.
Two questions.
That's where it should go.
Do you want a motion to say that we support that?
I want a consensus because I don't know if they'll support it once I bring it up. And I wanted to bring council in on it so that you're in the loop of what I'm proposing. So if it's okay, I'll move it up. If somebody has a concern, I'll hold off.
I think that, personally, I think that's a good idea. I think we've been dealing with multiple different plans over the last 2 months of multiple different issues. And all the things that I think we found is that unless we have some kind of integration and transparency between these, we're not going to get anywhere. So I think your idea is very, very helpful.
Thank you.
I agree with Joanne. I'm going to put Ralph on the spot. What's your thoughts on this, Ralph? I appreciate your thoughts on something like this.
I agree with what Randy is proposing. It makes a lot of sense. We're all in the same region. We have probably the same words, concerns, natural threats, flooding, as we've mentioned, those kinds of things. So it makes sense not to duplicate the efforts and work on it as a region for sure.
I'd say you're good to go, Randy.
Okay, I'll take that forward then. Thank you. Other than that, that's all I have for safety.
Okay. Any questions for Randy? Seeing none? Doug, water sanitation.
Okay, you have the authority meeting minutes from January 5th in your packet. I will have to defer. I don't know that we've had a response from our resolution that we passed. From the authority approved it along with council, and I don't know, and we only approved that during our authority meeting, but I haven't heard any update from them.
There isn't any response as of now. So, as you know, council had some conditions where the solicitor would review and if necessary, make comments. That is what happened. Our borough solicitor made some comments. I understand usually what happens is those comments go to Coca-Cola and we wait. And I think that's what we're doing. We're waiting for them to reply in some manner. So it is still a pending agreement that needs closure. Hopefully soon we'll have that.
Thank you, Ralph. The other thing I wanted to bring up, it's not on our agenda list for water sanitation, is I know we did some adjustments, and Dawn and Ralph can help me out on this, even you, Joanne. We have the grass recycle containers, and I believe we changed that fee to $15. Help me out on this. Is that what we did?
I
For the
think
grass and brush recycling containers.
I think you're correct, but we also capped them at the 700.
Yes, and that's why I'm bringing this up. I think last year we made an announcement of the fee, and those are payable at any time. And I'm wondering if do we need to put a cutoff date for when people do not renew those, so that gives others the opportunity for vacated cans. Is that a discussion we should have? Or do you have any thoughts on that, Dawn, Ralph, Joanne?
I think it's a very good idea to have a cutoff, but I would want to make sure we did everything we could to get the word out to the existing customers, within reason, and make sure they've had an opportunity. Maybe it's price, they're not interested anymore. At least we tried to give them the time to reply and sign up if they're interested.
Is that
I think what we could do this year, Ralph, that we couldn't do last year we were in the census 2020 and we were using that on the billing. I think Barbie this year can go ahead and actually put the fee on the refuse bill. And then those that don't pay it, we'll assume don't want it. And we can go on to other people that would be interested.
I like that too, Dawn. I know we usually get a lot of checks sent in, but if they can just add it into their regular billing check, and we can get it that way. So
let me make clear so that the public knows what you're saying is that when we did this census last year, it was just a one statement about the census. Instead of adding another line on the billing in that place where we had the census thing last year, it says if you have a brush container, if you want to continue it, pay $15 extra.
Yeah, the only thing is it wouldn't be a question. It'll just be brush container 15 or 30. If people have two, it'll be what they have, and we'll just put it on their bill.
And the question I have is, will that, because the census thing was put on everybody's bill, this would only be for the 700 people that have the containers, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I would like to check with Barbie to see if this is a major deal in her programming. But I do like the idea of getting the verbiage or the wording out through the same bill. But let's just hold off till we check with Barbie to see what kind of work is involved to make it happen.
Ralph, I can tell you, I checked with Barbie on this last year, and that was the reason she told me she couldn't do it. So if she didn't have that census 2020, she would have done it that way last year. So I think we'll be fine, but we can double check.
Sure.
Randy, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, what's the timetable from the time that the first pickup of grass or brush, probably be brush first, but takes place, and when does that relate? How does that relate to the billing cycle?
Well, that's a good question. We have 3 billing cycles, one each month. So we cover, by the time the borough is covered, we need 3 months. So you're, of course, the January bill would already be out, I think, or we already did the reading for the next bill, which goes out soon and is due beginning of February. So it's pretty tight, Randy, because by April is when everything starts up again.
Right. So if I want to, and I have 2 cans, so I'm probably just going to send a check in, because last year I think I misunderstood what was posted, but I probably missed the first 2 pickups because I haven't paid. So I would rather get it out of the way, and if I can do that, then I will, I guess.
Yeah, that's actually, Randy, that's what happens. A lot of people it's not that they don't want it, they just don't think about it until their grass doesn't get picked up. Then they call and say, hey, my grass didn't get picked up. Then we say, well, you got to pay your bill first. They didn't even know last year that we had a fee. So I think it'll be smoother this year.
So if folks choose, after they view this, to send in their fees, is that okay by mail?
Yes.
Yes.
And by mail, we have a drop-off box right by the front door. Either one is fine.
The same box we use for dropping off our water, sewer,
Yeah.
refuge collection. Okay. And when does our yearly newsletter go out? Because if it goes out in time, that fee schedule or bill could also be in that newsletter. I just want to get the word out as soon as possible if folks want to continue to use their grass and brush containers, so that we can get an inventory on who might be eligible for cans that were oversold on. So I think as a council or committee, we need to establish a date when we're going to say, okay, we have 15 cans available now. after April 30th or May 1st. So I'm looking for a date from all of us. What, any ideas on when that cutoff date should be so we can publish that?
I think probably towards the end of April, they'll have missed a couple weeks of pickup, and we'll know that they're either missed it inadvertently or on purpose. That's just offhand. Well, maybe you as chair, of sanitation want to talk about it. And then in addition to, you mentioned about the cutoff for the newsletter. We generally leave it slide till March, or probably sometimes even April. We can revisit that and try to get it out in February, try to get ahead of this as much as we can.
Okay.
Randy?
Is it on the website?
I think our new fee schedule is on the website. Now, whether it's explained in an article, probably not.
Okay.
But that's something we don't have to wait on. We can try to create a little article or blurb regarding this particular item.
I think that'd be fine. Yeah, that's good.
Here's a curiosity question. Since we're going to have the parking permits to be added online, can this fee also be done online?
Yes.
Yeah, we can put any fees we want online, Joanne.
Okay.
Yeah, that
That might be helpful to the public, particularly with this COVID stuff, so they don't have to get out if they don't want to.
The drawback to that, Joanne, is I see the $2.50 fee that you have to pay.
It's kind of high.
Well, yeah, and it's not. I mean, if you send it in with your bill or send it into the borough, it's only 50 cents.
Yeah.
I think the best option here is to add it to the people that currently have it. We'll just add it to their bill in the months of February, March, and April. As Ralph said, by the time we get around to early May, we'll know how many people have paid.
Okay. And how many cans might be available for resale?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
I saw somebody's hand up. Who was it?
Actually, the question was answered about whether or not there would be a charge to use a credit card. And you answered it, and you can actually save that extra 50 cents by walking down to the borough and dropping it into the little red box outside the door.
Yes.
Yep. Get some exercise while you're at it.
There's also a slot there in the window and a box for mail that you can also drop it in there as well.
The other unrelated to water and sanitation is I did get the form for that we all have to fill out each year. I forget the name of it.
Statement of mutual interest.
Yeah, I'm just going to slide that in the mail slot. Is that the proper thing to do?
You can. Yeah, we'll get it. Yes.
Okay. That completes my report, Madam President.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Doug?
Yeah, what about the Coca-Cola agreement? Or you didn't get an update?
Yes, you did.
Did I mention that? I think
we did discuss that, Mike.
Yeah, that you didn't get something, you were waiting for a comment from the solicitor or something? Right.
Yeah.
Wait, we're waiting on comments from Coca-Cola, Mike.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none. Deb, streets.
Okay, I have a proposed paving list for 2021 that encompasses 6 different streets in the borough. I'm just going to go over them quickly. It will be McAllister Street from East Bishop to Howard, Spring Street from High Street to Howard, Howard Street from North Spring to North Allegheny, Parkwood Boulevard to Pine Circle, on Half Moon Hill, North Thomas to Hout Street, North Allegheny Street from Curtin to Fifth Avenue. And this is the proposed paving list for the upcoming year. I'd like to make a motion that Borough approve this list and then take comments.
Clayton, who's going to second?
I'll make it. I'll second it.
Prendergast. And note that should something come up and we need to switch this out for whatever reason, we'll let you know.
Do we have proposed dates on those or?
I think it's weather permitting and after they're bid out.
right.
What we plan to do, Mike, we're gonna put in the bid, like must be finished, completed by the end of August. So it's done when the weather's still warm and hopefully school's back to normal and it doesn't interfere with school.
Right.
Yes, Doug.
In years past, sometimes we've done repaving projects, and about a week or two later, the natural gas company comes in and punches a hole in our brand new pavement.
I believe there's a fee for that.
Is there any way, Ralph, Don, or Matt, that we can avoid that?
What we can do to answer your question, we can check with the gas company. This has happened, for decades. And what happens if they don't know is somebody requests a service and they have to give them the service. So it wasn't on anybody's radar. Now the bigger projects they are aware of, but sometimes it's a budgeting issue or they have money this year that they didn't expect to have or something. So it's always that's what I get when we ask about it. We will make an effort to get this list out to every utility out there. I will say if they do dig up a new road, there's a very, very high fee for destroying a new road, so, and if they cut up more than half of the road or approximately half, they have to pave the entire road. We updated that ordinance maybe 10 plus years ago because of this same issue.
And for those concerned residents on West Curtin Street, from Allegheny to, what would that be, West
Spring
Street, West Lynn Street?
Yes.
All the way down over the hill.
Yes.
There is, I believe we communicated with Matt Allman, our street supervisor, that they're going to take care of that street. Am I accurate with that? Okay.
That's my understanding.
That was my understanding also. So the residents of West Curtin, the borough is prepared that they will repave that whole street. So we're good to go there.
I would just like to add that this is the proposed priority list. So this is what we plan to use, but it'll be really based on where the bids come in, because we do have a limitation in the amount of money that we have. So if it comes in, like if we do all of these and it comes in high, then we end up picking and choosing from this priority list.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Anything else, Deb?
That's really all I have, except a reminder about the PPD webinar tomorrow at 2:00
And the meeting on Thursday.
and the Streets Committee meeting Thursday at noon.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, move on to energy and environment. Mike?
We met, the Energy and Environment Committee met last week. Mostly we talked about the Susquehanna River Basin climate plan, and we prepared some comments for them. Did you want me to read those?
Probably, because I don't think all the council members got the comments.
All right. Well, if you remember the original report, our comments were under section A.5. What support can SRBC provide to municipalities? Second comment was under A.6. How would SRBC assist local municipalities and organizations such as the Spring Creek Watershed Commission with implementation? 3 was that we would encourage the SRBC to participate with organizations such as Spring Creek Watershed Commission and the Bald Eagle Watershed Association and others as appropriate. And number 4 was that we thought that the report was very well designed and user-friendly. And I believe those comments have to be in this week.
Yes, I think you're right.
Exactly.
So are you making a motion to approve these comments?
I would love to make that motion.
Prendergast,
I'll second it, Johnson.
Johnson. Discussion?
The only comment I would have is, having seen a couple of SRBC presentations to the Spring Creek Watershed, they seem to have, they seem to be pretty active in reaching out. So, I mean, when we write this, it's sort of like they seem to do that reach out and try to converse with the watershed committee.
So are you saying you would prefer saying we encourage continued participation?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
we can
would
add
be
that
very
word.
good. Yeah, that'd be very good because you sat in those same meetings and saw those same presentations I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just want to clarify for the public, Madam President, the SRBC is the Susquehanna River Basin Committee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just, we're all referring to the SRBC. Well, some folks may not know what that is.
Yeah. Basically, the Spring Creek Watershed Commission, watershed is within the catch basin for the Susquehanna River. And under a 3-state agreement 20 years ago, this SRBC was created to help monitor to make sure they can improve the waterways throughout the Susquehanna River. The majority of the problems happen to be in the agricultural areas, but some of them also have to do with wastewater treatment plant discharges and things like that.
But the first primary goal for SRBC is to ensure a quantity of water going down the river, and it primarily is to ensure or to support the power plants along the Susquehanna River. So it's not necessarily an environmental organization. It's an organization that monitors and ensures the water flow down the Susquehanna to make sure that the power production is maintained along the whole length of that river. So that when it's a very necessary organization to make sure that one of Pennsylvania's largest industrial products, electrical power, actually is continued and in supply continuously. So that's before you get to the environmental issue, it's really just an economic issue of what they do.
Good information. Good to know.
I'll get off my soapbox.
Any other comments?
Not only that, but they want to keep those sailboats from grounding out in the Chesapeake Bay.
No, it's the inlets at Peach Bottom nuclear plant that's more important to them.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion to send the comments to the SRBC? Say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, so moved. Okay, keep going, Mike.
I'm working on it. Actually, that's we had a meeting with the. I've got this note in here that I'm meeting with the APPI report. Ralph?
Sure. I'll help you out here, Mike. We did meet as a committee with some representatives of APPI, who is going to be a consultant of ours to help us look at our energy purchasing and our strategy for looking at green energy. And that was really the topic or the purpose of our meeting, is to look at, what options do we have as a borough to purchase green energy or get into using green energy. And the simple answer was, what have the studies revealed, recent studies that may have been done for the borough, and would we be able to share them with our new consultant, APPI? And of course, that's our plan, is to get our hands on those studies and forward them to APPI to look at, and then they will come back with some options and what seems to be feasible, as price, location, the type of energy that can be produced. All these are various factors, and they're all custom to the municipality and where the use is, and where maybe the energy is created or generated. All those have to be worked in to figure out what the best plan is. So we're working on that. We will work on that and keep you in the loop as we move forward.
So at the end of the meeting, I said, as I said then, and Gina laughed, I said, so I'm going to ask Gina's question. And how much is this going to cost us? And what they said was that depending on how much information we already have and how much additional work would be necessary for them to provide us the services, there may be some consulting costs, but at this point they don't know. So at least the initial part is free.
Yes.
It is good.
Any questions on this? Seeing none. Anything else, Mike?
That's all I have.
Any questions for Mike? Seeing none, turn it over to Ralph for the Office of Community Affairs.
It's rather simple and short. We did not have a planning meeting. We did not have a HARB meeting. And of course, we have a vacancy in the nuisance code area. So I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Moving on to special committee reports. Randy, Center Region Public Safety meeting.
Yeah, I attended a meeting and I put some notes in. I sent in, I think last week. I think they came out today. They're just my notes of the meeting, just to pass it on. You'll be seeing a full-blown minutes of those meetings next month. But I usually just try to jot down some notes that might be of interest. But it was just we elected new officers for the year 2021, and there wasn't anything in relation to Bellefonte at that point that would affect Bellefonte. So it was mainly Center Region Code business, or Center Region business.
Okay. Why don't you do your Civil Service Commission report as well?
Well, I sent that in. Again, we only had, I think, one meeting, and that was basically to elect our officers, and that was the only meeting we had in 2020.
So very short.
It's a tough department. Police chief didn't hire anybody. So.
Yeah. Okay. Melissa, can you talk about the business district reports that were in the packet?
Certainly. This was a report that Gina, as Main Street Manager late in 2020, helped send out to the community. So if she would like to add anything to it, she's more than welcome to. I just wanted to include it for council's edification, especially the perception list, the bar graph that's in there. As we make plans over the next few years, this is a pretty clean needs assessment of what people in our community feel like we need. Not all of this we can tackle, but we can certainly think about the cover and appearance section and access and linkages. And I thought the community attitude was also like something that was interesting for us as we make further plans. Gina, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I don't. You did a great job there. So.
I would like to say when I looked at it, one of the things I noticed is it kind of gave me a good feeling what DBI had focused on the design for the wayfinding signs, the welcoming signs and all there, because that was one of the things they said that a lot of people felt was necessary for the town. And that seems to have been backed up with what this graph bar says. So it looks like they're going in the right direction for that.
Mhm. It's also good for us to know that generally people feel safe. They feel like our town is clean and it's always charming. So it's just, I feel like there's been a lot of hard work from council and community groups, not just DBI, but all of them. And I hope that we can continue in the right direction.
Great, thank you. Doug, you have an airport authority meeting?
That is coming up, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So I'll have a report. It's the annual meeting or the organizational meeting. I can report on that next council meeting after that meeting.
Okay.
The other thing is there's an MPO meeting coming up on the, let's see, not until February. So that meeting is February 23rd. And then we have a Nittany Valley Planning Commission meeting. Randy, when is that?
That's on the 21st, this Thursday.
Yeah, so hopefully Randy will take that report, but I'm there as Nittany Valley MPO rep. So it's a busy week or two,
Okay.
as we all know. That's for everybody, not just me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other special committee reports?
Hey, Joanne, the Industrial Development Authority met last Wednesday. It was pretty much the reorganization meeting. The same slate of officers were selected to continue on through 2021. I'll put the minutes in the packet for February 1st.
Okay, thank you. Any others?
Yeah, Joanne, it's Randy. I have a fire exec meeting is scheduled for next Thursday, the 28th at 7 p.m.
Okay. Rather busy next 2 weeks. Okay, anything else for special committees? Then in that case, moving on to old business. ABCs, I think we can quickly just announce that we still have 3 seats open and 2 alternate seats. There's one on Harb that requires an architectural or historical preservation experience. 2 vacancies on the Housing Appeals Board. And then in terms of alternate, there's 1 alternate seat for the Civil Service Commission and 1 alternate on the Zoning Hearing Board. Yes, Doug.
Joanne, do we lighten up on some of those qualifications for Harb if we have no volunteers? Is it a trainable spot that you might have a resident who is interested in learning, or is this a strict requirement?
I can answer that. There are certain positions that are designated with a certain type of background. Then there's some general positions. This particular position is an architect position, and they do not have to be a resident, but they do have to have that type of background.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, Bellefonte Waterfront Development.
I think you
signed
received
a letter, Joanne, and it was forwarded on. So it's taken care of.
Okay, so basically I signed the letter last week, and we'll have to update the memorandum of understanding with the Bellefonte Water property to include this additional RACP grant. So that's where we're at now with that.
Yes.
Any questions? Seeing none, Moving on to new business. It says memo Raceway Bridge at West High Street, and I've got discussion and possible motion.
I know you have some things going on, Joanna. This could take quite a while.
Yeah,
And I don't expect you to have an answer tonight. It might be something you want to kick to a work session to go over when we have more time. I'm just throwing that out. If you want to go.
I think that's a good idea. So we'll put in a work session next time,
Sure.
unless we've got something else that I had to look at the agenda planning because I don't remember.
Right.
I think the next work session, we're bringing in Delta Development to go over the stamp project.
Okay, so why don't we just say the second meeting in February?
Okay.
Okay. Any other new business?
I have one. I think due to the changes made by DBI with the Main Street Manager position, I think we need to review the current agreement that we have with them as far as the fiscal responsibility and things like that. And I didn't know whether it'd be best to do this as an exec committee, if you want to take it to finance, have them discuss it. But I think according to Dawn's email, that this needed to be done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
In order to let them know what was going on.
Yeah. I talked to Don about this afternoon. Well, no, I guess it was Ralph this afternoon. It can't be an executive session because this is no longer a personnel issue. This is a finance issue. So what I would like to do is refer it to finance. So you've got another thing to do in the next 2 weeks.
Happy vacation.
And
I'll send the agreement out to the Finance Committee tomorrow
Okay. Thank you.
or tonight.
I'll be back in the state on Sunday. So
Any other new business? Any public comment? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll
So
make that
moved.
motion. I'll second.
It was Brandy and Gina. Any opposition? Seeing none?
Are we going to stay on for a few minutes?
Yeah, I was just going there. Hold on.
Just-
Seeing none, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 8:58 p.m. There is another executive